You already put one in? Welcome to this week's episode. On this episode, I'll be covering a free dive, so it won't be a very long episode. It's pretty straightforward. The weird thing about this dive, though, is basically trying to show you what can happen if you have a reel lockup, like a SPEARGUN reel. So on this dive, it's like a normal free dive. I try to do these in the morning on these commercial trips because it's better in my opinion, and I'm not saying do this, but this is what I do is I free dive before I scuba dive, not the other way around. And so in the mornings on a 2-day trip, I'll try to get my free dives in, and I'll try to get pelagics and other stuff that I can actually hunt a little easier sometimes while I'm free diving. And also it doesn't count towards my surface interval as much since I haven't done a scuba dive within, X amount of hours. So I'll do this and I'll head down and, try to shoot stuff in the water column like I'm saying. But on this dive, you'll see that my reel actually locks up. And when this happens, you only have a couple choices here. You can either drop your gun and, lose it, which is obviously much, much less, valuable compared to your life. Or you can, if you have the air for it, swim all the way up and pull whatever fish you got to the surface. Problem is, just like anything in the ocean, there's many factors as to what can happen. If you'll notice in this video, you'll see that I have a shark rush right by my shoulder, and luckily you'll see that the best case scenario happened, but if the worst case scenario does happen, then sometimes if you have this reel lockup like this, you will be forced to let go of your gun, and because there's no way you're gonna fight an animal much bigger than you and more adept to live in the sea. So basically, long story short, is make sure you put your reel line back on your gun, not too tight but not too loose. And if you have most SpearGun reels where they don't like wind it up in perfect fashion, like let's say a fishing reel does, you have to do it manually. Well, do it correctly manually. So just what can happen if you don't do that. And I actually didn't do this to my reel. It was someone else that I had floated my gun up and they reeled it in for me. I'm not blaming anybody, but if you feel like someone could have, strung your reel up for you and you're not sure, then pull your reel back out again and redo it, which is what I should have done in this situation. So anyways, enjoy the video. Thanks. As I make my descent, I start creating some commotion and trying to call the fish in. I identify the species around me. I notice jack crevalles and horse-eyed jacks and yellowtails. I try to watch near the school yellowtail the most though, because the larger fish tend to break through the school and hunt through that species the most. As I watch, a school of yellowjacks comes in the shooting range. I get ready to take the shot. Notice right after you can hear the reel locking up on me. As I mentioned earlier, the best thing to do in this situation is remain calm. And if you can pull the fish up to the surface, then do it. But if you can't, then you gotta let your gun go. So basically anything that raises your heart rate and makes you more likely to black out is to be avoided. Yeah, that was a bull shark rushing in trying to take the jack. So not something you want to deal with when you're already trying to make your way to the surface with a decent sized fish, especially a pelagic. So here's another replay. And right about here, you should be able to see how deep I am still. A good 50 feet or so, but I'm swimming, I'm closing the gap, and that's all you can do, and that's all that matters. I hit the surface, I got my fish, I got my gun, and most importantly, I have my life. So you really gotta watch yourself in these situations. If you have a reel that has a spool that has not been, lined up correctly or something like that, this can easily happen. It happens to many people. Doesn't matter the brand or any of that crap. It's not even down to that. It's honestly just down to how it's spooled up. And if it's done in a rush, if it's done too loose or too tight, just make sure you watch these type of things, because either on the less important side you can lose your gun, as I've said many times now, but it could be a lot worse. You can lose your life if you really try to get your gun up and don't actually have the air, especially people that have not been diving very long. You don't know how much air you have, what your blackout zone is really, so you really got to be careful in these situations and just always watch your accessories on your gun and make sure everything's ready to go. So now that the fish is safely in the boat, it's on to the next few dives for the day. Thank you guys for watching. Should have another video for y'all soon. Got a lot of big grouper videos in the works. A lot of commercial dives, couple of recreational dives, shallow water, deep water, free diving, scuba. Got a lot of stuff coming, so stay tuned. Thank you.